Everyone in the factory admired him. He worked harder than anyone, never complained, never stopped learning. But one small piece of advice from his mentor changed everything and nearly destroyed his life. Before you judge, listen till the end, because this story might just change how you see success forever. If you value wisdom and real-life lessons, don't scroll. This one's for you. You know what kills me? What absolutely tears me apart inside? It's how we're taught to believe that hard work guarantees success. That if you just keep your head down, do your job, be the good employee, everything will work out. What a lie. What a beautiful, poisonous lie that I swallowed for 10 years of my life. Once upon a time, there was a young man who worked at a factory. That young man was me. And I had a mentor, an old technician named Frank, who'd been there since the place opened. Frank taught me 3 simple rules that I thought would be my salvation. Talk less, do more, and never stop improving yourself. For 10 years, I lived by these words like they were gospel. 10 years of my life dedicated to this philosophy. Every morning, I'd arrive 30 minutes early, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I wanted to check the machines, make sure everything was running smoothly before the shift started. While others were sipping coffee and chatting about last night's game, I was already deep in work, my hands dirty, my mind focused. Talk less, do more. That's what Frank said. So I kept my mouth shut when others complained about overtime. I kept quiet when they grumbled about new procedures. I just worked. I learned every machine in that factory. I could fix problems that stumped engineers with degrees. I could work faster and cleaner than men who'd been there twice as long. Never stop improving yourself? So I took night classes. I studied technical manuals during my lunch breaks while others played cards. I learned new skills, new techniques. I became the guy they called when things went wrong. The problem solver, the reliable one. And you know what I got for it? You know what 10 years of dedication earned me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing but the privilege of watching lesser men climb over me like I was a stepping stone. God, the rage I felt. The burning, consuming rage that would eat at me every single day. Despite my effort and skill, others got promoted. People who did half my work. People who spent more time talking than working. People who knew how to play the game while I was busy actually doing the job. I watched Tommy get promoted to supervisor. Tommy who couldn't fix a broken bolt without calling for help. Tommy who spent half his day flirting with the secretaries and the other half complaining about how hard his life was. But Tommy knew how to make the bosses laugh. Tommy knew how to take credit for other people's work. Tommy knew how to be visible. And there I was, invisible. The ghost in the machine, working harder, knowing more, caring more, and getting nothing for it. Do you know what that does to a man? Do you know how it feels to pour your soul into something and have the world tell you it doesn't matter? I'd go home every night with this knot in my stomach. My wife would ask how my day was, and I'd lie. I'd say it was fine because how do you explain that you're dying inside? How do you tell the woman you love that you feel like a failure when you're doing everything right? The worst part wasn't even the lack of promotion, it was the way they treated me. Like furniture, like I was just part of the building. They'd bring in new guys, and within months, those guys would be making suggestions about how I should do my job. My job. The job I'd perfected over a decade. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. With a heavy heart and hands shaking from frustration, I went to see Frank. I found him in the break room, eating his usual peanut butter sandwich, looking as calm as ever. "Frank," I said, and my voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. "I've done everything right. I've followed your rules. I worked harder than anyone in this place. So why am I still stuck? Why am I watching idiots get promoted while I'm still in the same position I was 5 years ago?" The pain in my voice was real, raw. I was a grown man on the verge of tears, talking to the only person in that place who I thought understood what hard work meant. Frank looked at me with those tired eyes of his and he smiled. Actually smiled. Here I was pouring my heart out, and he was smiling like he'd just heard a good joke. "Son," he said, setting down his sandwich, "take a day off." I stared at him. "What?" "Take a day off. Call in sick tomorrow. Let them see what happens without you." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was his advice? After 10 years of teaching me about dedication and reliability, he was telling me to skip work? "Frank, I can't just—" "Trust me," he said. "Let them see what happens without you." So I did it. For the first time in 10 years, I called in sick when I wasn't sick. I stayed home, and I felt guilty about it all day. I kept checking my phone, expecting them to call and beg me to come in, but the calls never came. The next morning, I walked into chaos. Pure, beautiful chaos. 3 machines had broken down. A shipment had been delayed because nobody knew the new routing system I'd implemented. The quality control numbers were a disaster because nobody else knew the little tricks I used to keep things running smoothly. My supervisor, red-faced and sweating, pulled me aside. "Thank God you're back. We had a nightmare yesterday. Don't ever get sick again, okay?" He was trying to make it sound like a joke, but I could see the panic in his eyes. And just like that, things changed. Suddenly, I was visible. Suddenly, they remembered I existed. Within 2 weeks, I got my first promotion in 5 years. Assistant supervisor. A title I should have had years ago, but I didn't care. I thought I'd finally cracked the code. The young man, Iena, thought. So this is the secret to success. Frank was a genius. All those years of being taken for granted, and all it took was 1 day of absence to make them realize my worth. I felt vindicated. I felt smart. I felt like I'd finally learned how the game was really played. But here's where the story gets ugly. Here's where my newfound wisdom turned into my downfall. Because like an idiot, like a desperate, angry fool, I took the wrong lesson from that experience. Each time I felt underappreciated, and trust me, I still felt underappreciated plenty. I took a day off. Feeling overlooked? Day off. Boss giving credit to someone else? Day off. New guy getting paid more than me? Day off. And each time it worked. Each time, I'd come back to a small disaster that reminded everyone how much they needed me. Each time, things improved for me. More respect, more recognition, better assignments. I became addicted to being missed, addicted to the power of my absence. I started planning my sick days strategically, before big deadlines, before important meetings, before anything that would showcase just how indispensable I really was. The anger I'd felt at being ignored transformed into a cold, calculating fury. I'd show them. I'd make them pay for all those years of taking me for granted. Every sick day was revenge for every time I'd been passed over. Every absence was payback for every promotion that should have been mine. My wife started questioning the sudden increase in my illnesses. My coworkers began making jokes about my mysterious ailments, but I didn't care because it was working. I was finally getting the recognition I deserved, even if I had to manipulate the system to get it. I thought I was being clever. I thought I was playing the game better than everyone else. I thought I'd found the secret that would finally give me the career I'd earned through a decade of thankless labor. I was wrong, so terribly, catastrophically wrong. One Monday morning, I walked up to the factory entrance like I had thousands of times before. I swiped my ID card at the security gate, and nothing happened. The light stayed red. I tried again. Still red. My stomach dropped. I tried a third time, then looked around for the security guard. Maybe the system was down. Maybe it was a glitch. "Excuse me," I called to Jerry, the security guard who'd been greeting me for years. "My card isn't working." Jerry looked uncomfortable. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "You need to go to HR," he said quietly. HR. Those 2 letters hit me like a punch to the gut. Nobody goes to HR on a Monday morning for good news. I walked to the office building, my legs feeling like lead. Each step was agony because deep down, I knew. I knew what was coming, but my mind refused to accept it. Linda from HR was waiting for me with a folder and that sympathetic expression they teach you in corporate training. The expression that says, "I'm about to ruin your life, but I'm going to be very professional about it." "Please sit down," she said. My card isn't working, I said, still clinging to the hope that this was some kind of mistake. I know, we need to talk. She opened the folder and I saw my name on the documents inside. Termination papers. The words swam in front of my eyes as she explained about attendance issues and reliability concerns and difficult decisions. They'd been tracking my absences, every strategic sick day, every calculated absence, every time I'd thought I was being clever. They'd been documenting it all, building a case, preparing to replace me. But you promoted me, I said, my voice barely a whisper. You said I was valuable. You are valuable when you're here, Linda said. But we need someone we can count on to be here. Count on. The irony was suffocating. For 10 years, I'd been the most reliable person in that place. For 10 years, I'd never missed a day except for genuine emergencies. And then, in my anger and desperation, I'd thrown it all away. They'd already hired my replacement. Some kid fresh out of technical school, eager and reliable. Everything I used to be before I got bitter, before I got smart, before I learned how to play the game. I'd been replaced. After 10 years of my life, after all my knowledge and experience and dedication, I'd been replaced by someone who would show up every day. The walk back to Frank's office was the longest walk of my life. Every step was torture. Every familiar face I passed was a reminder of what I'd lost. Some people looked at me with pity. Others avoided eye contact entirely. Word travels fast in a factory. I found Frank in the same break room, eating the same peanut butter sandwich, looking exactly the same as he had months ago when he'd given me the advice that I thought was going to save my career. Frank, I said, and my voice was hollow now, empty. The anger was gone, replaced by something much worse. The crushing weight of my own stupidity. He looked up at me, and I saw something in his eyes that I'd missed before. Sadness. Deep, profound sadness. I got fired, I said. He nodded slowly. I know. Your advice. I followed your advice and it worked. So I kept following it. And now I'm done. 10 years, Frank. 10 years of my life. Gone. The mentor, Frank, sighed deeply, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked old. Really old. Tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. You only heard half the lesson, he said quietly. What? Son, you only heard half the lesson. I told you to take one day off, one day, to show them what they were taking for granted. But I never told you to make a habit of it. I stared at him, feeling like the ground was crumbling beneath my feet. No one notices a light bulb that's always on, Frank continued, his voice heavy with regret. But if it flickers too often, people replace it. Success isn't about being missed. It's about being trusted. Be reliable, not just remarkable. The words hit me like physical blows. Each one was a reminder of how completely I'd misunderstood, how my anger and frustration had twisted his simple lesson into something destructive. I was supposed to show them my value once, I said, the realization dawning. Not use it as a weapon. That's right. You were supposed to remind them to appreciate what they had, not teach them that they couldn't count on you. Frank set down his sandwich and looked directly at me. Son, I've been watching you for months, and I've been sick about it. Sick knowing that my words sent you down this path. I tried to pull you aside, tried to talk to you, but you were so angry, so convinced you'd figured it out. He was right. I had been angry. So angry that I couldn't see past my own rage. So focused on getting revenge for all those years of being overlooked that I destroyed the very thing I was trying to protect. The real lesson, Frank said, was about balance, about being reliable enough that people trust you, but making sure they don't take that reliability for granted. One day off, one strategic reminder, that was supposed to be it. I felt like I was going to be sick. All those sick days, all that manipulation, all that anger. It had all been based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what Frank was trying to teach me. I ruined everything, I whispered. You made a mistake, Frank said, a big one, but it doesn't have to define the rest of your life. but it felt like it did define me. Walking out of that factory for the last time, carrying my few personal belongings in a cardboard box like some cliche from a movie, I felt like my entire identity was crumbling. Who was I without that job? For 10 years, I'd been the reliable guy, the problem solver, the one who knew everything. Now I was just another unemployed middle-aged man with a gap in his resume that would be impossible to explain. How do you tell a potential employer that you were fired for poor attendance when you'd spent most of your career never missing a day? How do you explain that you'd misunderstood a piece of advice so completely that you'd sabotage yourself? The drive home was agony. I kept thinking about my wife, about how I'd have to tell her that I'd thrown away 10 years of steady employment because I was too angry and too stupid to understand a simple lesson about balance. But more than that, I kept thinking about all the people I'd taken for granted in my own life. Frank's words echoed in my head. How many people in your life do you take for granted because they're always there? My wife, who made dinner every night without complaint. My kids, who always counted on me to be there for their games and school events. My friends, who'd listened to me vent about work for years without ever telling me to shut up. All the people who were reliable, who were always there, who I'd stopped noticing because their presence was constant. Just like I'd been at the factory before I'd started my destructive game of absence. I thought about my father, who'd worked the same job for 30 years and never complained, who showed up every day, did his work, and came home to his family, who'd tried to teach me that consistency was its own form of excellence. But I'd been too eager for dramatic success to listen. I thought about all the co-workers I judged for being just average, for not pushing themselves the way I did. But maybe they understood something I didn't. Maybe they knew that showing up was more important than standing out. Maybe they knew that being trusted was worth more than being remarkable. The worst part wasn't even losing the job. The worst part was realizing how my anger had poisoned everything, how my resentment at being overlooked had turned me into someone I didn't recognize, someone who would manipulate and scheme instead of just doing good work. I'd become everything I'd once despised. I'd become the kind of person who played games instead of just being honest, who looked for shortcuts instead of earning success through merit, who let bitterness turn him into a liar, because that's what I'd become, a liar. Every fake sick day was a lie. Every strategic absence was a betrayal of the trust that had taken me years to build. I'd traded my integrity for short-term victories, and in the end, I'd lost everything. The young man I'd been, the one who'd arrived early and stayed late, who'd learned every machine and solved every problem, that man would have been disgusted with what I'd become. He'd worked with honor and pride, and I'd taken all of that and thrown it away for petty revenge. Sitting in my driveway, unable to face going inside and telling my family what I'd done, I finally understood the depth of Frank's lesson. It wasn't just about work. It wasn't just about being appreciated by your employer. It was about being the kind of person others could count on, about building trust through consistency, about understanding that true success isn't about getting noticed. It's about being valuable enough that your absence would be felt, but reliable enough that your absence is rare. Don't wait until they're gone to notice. And if you're the one being taken for granted, remember, true success is balance, not burnout, not absence, but wisdom. I'd failed to find that balance. I'd swung from one extreme to the other, from invisible dedication to manipulative absence, and I'd lost everything in between. But Frank was right about one thing. This didn't have to define the rest of my life. I could learn from this catastrophic mistake. I could become the reliable person I used to be, the person I should have stayed. I could stop being angry at the world for not recognizing my worth and start focusing on actually being worthy of recognition. Not through games or manipulation, but through the kind of consistent, honest work that builds trust over time. It would mean starting over. It would mean swallowing my pride and accepting entry-level positions. It would mean proving myself all over again, this time with the wisdom that had cost me everything to learn. But maybe that was exactly what I needed. Maybe I needed to remember who I was before anger and resentment had twisted me into someone else. Maybe I needed to find my way back to the young man who'd believed in hard work and integrity before cynicism had corrupted those beliefs. The pain of losing everything was unbearable, but hiding in that pain was a lesson that might save not just my career, but my soul. A lesson about trust, about reliability, about the quiet dignity of just showing up and doing good work. A lesson I'd learned too late, but not too late to matter. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, before you judge someone for being just reliable, remember that reliability is the foundation everything else is built on. Don't wait until it's gone to notice what you had. And if you're the one being taken for granted, like I was, remember, true success is balance, not burnout, not absence, but wisdom. Don't let anger poison your judgment the way it poisoned mine. Don't throw away years of trust for moments of recognition. Be the light bulb that's always on, but don't be afraid to remind people, occasionally and carefully, of how dark it would be without you.